In today's video, I will be sharing with you my predictions for free agents. This is part 2. If you haven't seen part 1, I did all the offensive players, or at least a lot of the important ones. Today will be defense, so go check out part 1 as soon as you finish this video. And before we get into this, let me remind you, we are doing a jersey giveaway when we hit 1,000 subs. We are almost there. As soon as we get to 1,000 subs, somebody will win a free standard jersey of their choice, so help me get there. Also, go to w.gg to check out their energy drinks and all of their products. Use code SHREDDER for 10% off your order, and let's get right into this video. So starting off, we're going to start on the defensive line, starting with the most important free agent on defense in my opinion, and that's Chris Jones. To me, he will just go back to the Kansas City Chiefs. There's just not a lot else that makes sense. I don't think the Chiefs are going to let him get out. I think that's the point. He obviously wants to be a Chief, and they're just going to get it done. Next is Christian Wilkins. This is a big-time free agent from the Miami Dolphins. They are not able to bring him back as they have a lot of free agents outside of him. And I think he's going to land in a place like Chicago. They are a team that's going to be able to spend a lot of money. They need some big-time talent on defense, on the whole roster, really. But not to mention, other than Montez Sweat and Jalen Johnson, that defense is pretty bare. There's not a whole lot to work with. Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards are fine. They're good. Nothing great. But Christian Wilkins would be a massive step up at a quality position of need. Then, Danielle Hunter, the Vikings free agent edge rusher. He is a big name also, and I don't think he goes back to the Vikings at this point. Maybe he does. I'm not saying I know everything. I don't. But LA Rams do make a lot of sense for him. They need a really good edge rusher, someone who can get something done on the outside while they have, Byron Young and Aaron Donald and all those other guys getting things done on the inside. Get a guy on the outside who can just, pin their ears back and get to the quarterback quickly. And finally, we have Chase Young. He's our last guy on the D-line. He is going to be leaving the Niners. I don't think there's any way they bring him back. There is too much going on that Niners team for them to be able to get him back on contract. I think he could go to the Colts. The Colts are in big-time need of a real, true number one edge rusher. Is he a number one? I don't know. I don't think so. But he's a lot closer than anything else they have. Kwity Paye was not a guy who's turned out to be what they've wanted. They just don't have that talented, really good outside edge guy. Kwity Paye can be more of a 3-tech, and that's just not what you want on your edge. He can do both things, but put him where he might be a little bit stronger suited. Next, we have linebackers on the defense. We have 5 linebackers here, starting with the most important one, Baltimore Ravens linebacker Patrick Queen. This guy was not very good until this past year. Other than that, he was honestly seeming closer to a bust than anything. And this year, he turned into an all-pro. I think you can attribute that straight to Mike McDonald. And I think other teams will look at that and not pay him as much as he might be commanding. Because, yeah, it kind of was a one-year wonder type thing. Maybe a year-and-a-half wonder type thing. But it helped when Roquan Smith came in and took up some of the load. Either way, he is a good player. We've seen that much. I think the Tennessee Titans could pay some severe money to go get a Patrick Queen-like player. They need a just playmaker on that side of the ball, and maybe he's not that, maybe he is that. But either way, they could use somebody better than they have. Next, Frankie Louvu, a guy who played in Carolina, and most of people may not even realize this guy's been as good as he has been, but he has. This guy is a really good player, and I think he is going to leave Carolina. He's going to go to the Seattle Seahawks. They have a big hole left by the loss of what they're going to end up being Jordan Brooks and Bobby Wagner. And I think he could be an easy transitional piece going right into Seattle. Then, Jordan Brooks himself. I think he also goes to the Colts. I think the Colts are going to spend some money on defense. They need to. They're losing a lot of guys. Shaq Leonard has just kind of regressed in his career to this point. They cut him this past season. They need somebody who can make some plays. Jordan Brooks can be that guy. I think he is a good replacement, not quite as good as Shaq Leonard once was, but can be a sort of reincarnated version of that to at least some degree. Then you have Willie Gay Jr., the Chiefs linebacker. I think he goes to Atlanta. They need some more help in that room. They have a couple good, solid players, but nobody amazing. This guy could be that next step up, a first guy, the guy you want to be leading that defense. I think Willie Gay can do just that. And then Devin White. He's going to be, kind of in that same boat that Patrick Queen is. His is the inverse, though. he had a few really, really good years when he first started his career, and then it's tailed off since then. He's not really been that great in the last few years, and, you know, he's an athlete, but he's kind of consistently just gotten worse. To me, I think he goes to Kansas City. They give him a 2-3 year deal that is on a pretty fair rate of pay, and they're going to lose Willie Gay. They're going to lose probably Drew Tranquil as well. Get somebody to replace those guys, put beside Nick Bolton. Devin White can be that guy. And now, to throw in two more guys really quickly, Levante David, Bobby Wagner. Both of these guys are veterans. They could just return to their team because they've been on those teams for so long, the Seahawks and the Buccaneers. But at the same time, when guys get this old, you don't know what they're going to do. They could go to a contender. So I'm going to kind of list both of these guys under the Chiefs or the Chargers. I think either team makes a lot of sense, and it would just make sense for the guys as well if they weren't to stay with their same teams. Next, we have the cornerback position, and we're going to start with Trey White. Tre'Davious White just got cut by the Bills. He's a really good player, but he's not been on the field, and that's a big part of it. I think the Jaguars will try to take a stab at him and go get a legit number 1/2 corner to pair with Tyson Campbell. If this guy can be healthy, that could be a scary secondary there in Jacksonville. Then, Kenny Moore, the Colts corner, kind of a slot corner, but also can do everything you need him to do. Very versatile player. I think that's why he ends up in the Minnesota Vikings. They need legit playmakers in Minnesota on defense. They don't have those. Not a lot of them, at least. This guy can come in, be a good vet. He's 29 years old, can show guys like Andrew Booth, who are drafted with pedigree, how to be a real NFL player, how to be successful at the corner position, and also play a role that they can kind of use with that slot position. They have Byron Murphy, but I think he is an upgraded version. Byron Murphy can play on the outside. Kenny Moore can play on the outside. You can do whatever you need to, move these guys around, and make problems on the defensive side of the ball for other offenses. Next is Kendall Fuller, probably the best pure corner on the free agent list. I think he goes to the Cowboys. I think they look to find one more corner to really shore up this unit. Stephon Gilmore is a free agent. We're not going to talk about him today. He's kind of fits in that Levante David, Bobby Wagner role where they're older. They could go on a one-off deal somewhere. It's just hard to predict. But either way, Kendall Fuller, come in there. Trayvon Diggs, him, and Deron Bland be a really solid three-man team. And really just, get some very good improvement of the floor of that cornerback room. Then, L'Jarius Sneed, we will go over him briefly. He has been tagged. Now, he's been also deemed to seek a trade, and that's why we're talking about him here. The Chiefs will probably be trading him. I don't think they get a long-term deal done. They're going to pay Chris Jones way too much, Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes. They have other guys they have to pay. You get the point. I think L'Jarius Sneed will get traded. It's about right now looking like a second-round pick is going to be the price. I think the Steelers or the Lions make a lot of sense. Both teams are in desperate need of a really good corner, and both teams are, solid right now, where if they could fix one or two holes, they could be in a good spot. The Lions, it's really just the secondary and the defense. The Steelers, it's the secondary and a quarterback. But either way, you get one of those two things filled, and you're halfway there for either team. Finally, we have our safety position, and we're going to have 5 guys to go on here. First is Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, the Lions nickelback, safety, corner, whatever you want to call him. I think he goes back to Philadelphia like he was 2 years ago. I think Philly really felt the loss of not having him this year, and they're, in need. They're going to lose guys like Vontae Maddox. They cut James Bradbury's lost a step. Darius Slay, still a good player, but he's only getting older. They could really use a good playmaker like C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and I think he goes back to Philly. Kyle Duggar did receive the transition tag, so people can communicate with him. He can potentially be swayed away from the Patriots, but I think he does get swayed away. I think he goes to the Raiders. The Raiders are a team that him and, Trevon Moehrig could be a really solid safety duo. I think that's a very Raiders-like pickup as well. It makes a lot of sense to me in how I think about it. Xavier McKinney from the Giants, another good safety on the market. To me, Budda Baker is going to be on a team option, but he may not want to be there. They may have to trade him. Go get him if you're the Cardinals. Xavier McKinney is a younger, really solid player who, if you have to keep Budda Baker, they can run side by side. If you have to trade Budda Baker, they can be, a replacement in that sense. There's a lot of things that Xavier McKinney can do, especially in that secondary. Go get a legit playmaker for the Cardinals. Then Cameron Curl from the Washington Commanders. I think this is a Green Bay, guarantee. I don't know why. Cam Curl makes a lot of sense to me going to Green Bay. He seems a lot like that Adrian Amos role that they had a couple years ago, who they've recently cut because of cap reasons. But, he just makes a lot of sense, and I think that fits a good spot in Green Bay as well. And then finally, Jeremy Chinn, a guy who was really good for 2 years. This past year wasn't utilized at all, which I don't understand. He just didn't really have a role in the Giro Revero's defense on that Carolina Panthers squad. I think he goes in replacement of Xavier McKinney to the Giants. He needs to have a good role, and he can be a very good player. Put him in the Giants, let him make some plays, let that Xavier McKinney role get replaced, and, he can do a little bit of different things too. Play in the box, do other things. But Jeremy Chinn is a guy who you need to have him making plays on the field if your team wants to be successful. Either way, that will be it for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and let me know what you think about these players. Do you think they go to a certain team or not? Either way, once again, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It helps out my channel a ton, and we will be doing a jersey giveaway as soon as we hit 1,000 subs. Either way, I'll catch y'all in the next video.